We're jammed in this evening, which is exciting because there are 50 or so of you. There was a couple coming up. Just about. So there's going to be 50 new members and fellows brought into our college this evening. My name is Mike McKirdy. I'm the President of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, and welcome here this evening to our college hall. Our college was founded in 1599, 425 years ago, by the gentleman in this portrait over on the left, Peter Lowe. He was born here in the city of Glasgow in about the year 1550, and as a young person he wanted to learn to be a surgeon, and so he followed the advice of Hippocrates and he headed for war. And there was a lot of war to choose from at that time, but he headed to France and he learned the art of surgery by going to war, Hippocrates' advice, in the wars of succession between France and Spain. Religious wars, as they're sometimes called. He returned here to this city in the 1590s. He wrote the first textbook of surgery in English, the whole course of surgery. Before that, all publications were in Latin. But he wrote a textbook to be accessible to others, and that whole course of surgery published in 1597. And he found the standards of medical care here in Glasgow to be somewhat wanting, to be less than he had been used to in Paris, where he had been trained and where he'd been working. And so he petitioned the King of Scotland at that time, King James VI of Scotland, whose portrait is at the very back of the hall, and he allowed that petition to grant the Faculty of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, as we were called at that time, to set standards for medical care here in the west of Scotland. And at the beginning, the college's remit was just for here, Glasgow and the west of Scotland. Glasgow at that time was a very sleepy, small town with a population of 5,000 people. But it was an academic centre. The University of Glasgow is the fourth oldest in the UK after Oxford and Cambridge and St Andrews, and it had been founded in the previous century in 1451. So a small, sleepy academic town which now had somebody championing good standards of medical and surgical care. Since that time, we've grown, and our college is now a community of 16,000 or so fellows and members in over 100 countries across the world. And tonight it's a real privilege for us to be welcoming you seated in your colourful gowns here in the front rows to our college community. A tradition of our ceremonies and admission ceremonies and diploma ceremonies is to acknowledge people whose contribution to the practice of healthcare, to medicine, physicians or surgeons or dentists or in other walks of life, by admitting them as honorary fellows of our college. Tonight we were scheduled to have 2 honorary fellows joining us, but one has unfortunately had to call off this evening. Professor Jane Giardini will not be with us this evening. But we're going to start this evening's ceremony by inviting Professor Christine Goodall, who is the Vice President Dentistry, to come to the front here, along with Professor Jeremy Bagg, and we're going to hear a little of Jeremy's career and life and then admit him as an honorary fellow of our college. So Jeremy, please come and join me here at the front, and Christine, the podium is yours.
I think that's me, switched on. I'm going to have to put my glasses on because it's come to that time of life, I'm afraid. So, Mr. President, it's my pleasure to present to you Professor Jeremy Bagg for Honorary Fellowship of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow. Jeremy was my boss and colleague for many years at the University of Glasgow, and I think we would all agree is a very deserving recipient of this honour. Jeremy hails from Kent, but saw sense very early in his career moving to Scotland, Edinburgh in fact, but will not hold that against him, to undertake his dental degree at the University of Edinburgh, graduating with honours and many other awards in 1979. He obtained his PhD from the same university in 1982, following a 3-year Lecky McAteer Research Fellowship in the Department of Bacteriology at Edinburgh Medical School. In 1983, he was appointed as a lecturer in oral medicine and oral pathology at Cardiff Dental School, during which time he undertook specialist training in medical microbiology. In 1991, he moved back to Scotland, to the University of Glasgow, as a clinical lecturer and honorary consultant in oral microbiology, quickly progressing to Professor of Clinical Microbiology in '99, thanks to his prolific research output comprising now over 150 papers, 2 textbooks, and many PhD students who have started their research careers under his tutelage. He was appointed as head of the dental school in 2005 and deputy head of the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Nursing in 2011, and remained in both posts until his retirement in 2021. Along the way, Jeremy has held many national senior committee posts and was awarded an OBE in 2018 for his work in dental education. Jeremy is a fellow of our college, of the English College, and holds an MRC path in medical microbiology. He was one of our vice deans from 2016 to 2019 and our global health director from 2021 to 23. Although Jeremy is technically retired and now an emeritus professor, he is far from idle, and it is his work in global health that I wish to highlight to you today, and which, alongside his lifelong contribution to dental education, is the reason Jeremy is receiving this fellowship. Jeremy has a long-standing interest in global health and is the lead for the Scottish Government-funded MalDent project, a project he became involved with prior to his retirement, but has continued to this day. Malawi is a country with little or no dental provision. They have only 40 dentists, all trained overseas, to care for 20 million citizens, and until recently, no in-country dental training. Jeremy has been absolutely instrumental in seeing an issue for a whole country and finding ways to change it. He has drawn on his public health and educational background in curriculum development to accomplish something truly incredible. The work he has done will undoubtedly improve the oral health of the people of Malawi, many of whom live rurally, by providing their own supply of homegrown dentists. And we shouldn't forget how inexorably oral health is linked to general health, so the impact will be wider than it might first appear. This is not just a one-off contribution, this is a sustainable legacy endeavour, the impact of which will be felt for generations to come. Jeremy and his colleagues in Malawi accessed funding from the Scottish Government amounting to nearly £2 million to develop the first dental school in Malawi, to develop the country's first oral health policy, and to implement a version of our own Child Smile programme. The Child Smile programme will improve the oral health of Malawi's youngest residents through the delivery of basic oral health education in schools. This is truly global population health at its best, and public health not just in a textbook, but in action. The speed with which this has been accomplished is incredible. Alongside this, 2 charities have been established to support this work and the dental students coming through the new dental programme, which will soon graduate its first dentists. Jeremy's commitment to this work is amazing. He not only works through official routes, but he has tirelessly cycled, walked, collected used dental equipment, set up a project to maintain dental equipment in Malawi, and shown many other examples of discretionary and voluntary effort to complement the more official side of his work. This is charitable endeavour at its best. As a college, we've been able to make some small contribution to this through our awards programmes, and we look forward to welcoming 2 Malawian dental students to our shores in the near future. None of this would have been possible without the contribution Jeremy has made. As a dental faculty, and if I may speak for the university, our colleagues are all very proud of what Jeremy has done. Mr. President, I commend to you Professor Jeremy Bagg for the award of Honorary Fellowship of the College.
Jeremy, by the power invested in me by the Council of the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, it is my great delight and pleasure to welcome you and confer upon you this honorary fellowship of our college. Congratulations. You can sign the book. To come to the podium and confer the oath on our new admittees.
Thank you, President.
And then we'll commence our admission ceremony, and I'll say a few words after that.
That's very kind. Thank you. Could all the fellows and members who are being admitted please stand? Thank you. Do you solemnly and sincerely declare that you will be faithful fellows and members of this college, obey all laws, regulations, and bylaws made and to be made by the college, and will do nothing which, in the opinion of the college, is prejudicial to the interest of or derogatory to the honor of the college or of your profession? Thank you. Please be seated. I now request Dr. Richard Hull, Vice President Medical, to present the diplomas to new medical fellows and members, starting with Humayd Al-Shamshi. Smarjit Banik. Abdul Manan Junejo. Parvez Khan. Wafin Lee. Chi Kyong-si. Ahmed Usman. Okay. So that's the next one. So, okay. So for membership of the college, Asadullah Nawazani, welcome. For MRCP UK, Leila Ali. Tet I. Raquel Nikita Griffith. Niktash Khan Hadi. Nankam Twewe. Yaya Maslamani. Yinne Nwe. Wakar Riaz. K. Keng Tan. Jiao Sui Hui. Moniba Wakar. Ying Ki Yeo. Thank you, Richard. May I now invite Mr. John Scott, Vice President Surgical, to present diplomas to all new surgical fellows and members. Thank you, John. Starting with the Intercollegiate Specialty Fellowship in General Surgery, FRCS Class General Surgery, to Mohammed Awad Bener El Haddad. Welcome. FRCS Glasgow in otolaryngology, Hassan Iftikhar. Welcome. FRCS Glasgow Trauma and Orthopedics, Suman Rai. FRCS Quasurgeon, FRCS Glasgow to Bhaskar Mukherjee. Fellowship Quasurgeon by election, Sanjay Kumar Jain. Lokesh Sinha. Praveen Suryavanshi. Fellowship Quasurgeon in Ophthalmology, FRCS of Glasgow, Preeti Gurumurthy. Welcome. Fadi Assam Mukhtar Metwali. Membership Quasurgeon, MRCS Glasgow, Prashantan Balasundram. Maria Gavala. Mohammed Nazimul Haq. Eleanor Sarah Lumley. Ross Andrew MacDonald. Thabo Kanayam Mathisa. Prasantan Yogaraja. Vasithan Yoganathan. Now for MRCPSG, membership of the college, Bibek Chakrabarti. Thank you, John. That completes the surgical admission. Now, may I invite Christine Goodall, Vice President Dental, to present the diplomas to all new dental fellows and members, starting with Josephine Camilleri. Akhtar Hussain. Vanaja Krishna Naik. Vijay Kumar. So now we come to membership of the Faculty of Dental Surgery, MFDS RCPSG, Muhammad Usman Akhtar. Stephanie Louise Duthie. Siddharth Handa. Vijay Karupia. Thank you, Christine. President, that concludes the admission ceremony. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Abby. And we're nearly set to go and have some refreshments downstairs. But it's traditional for me or somebody to say a few words of encouragement to you all on becoming new fellows and members of the college. The first important thing to say is welcome. It's for many of us quite a nostalgic evening when we think back to the same point in our careers when we first became members or fellows of the college. In my day there was no MRCS exam, there was an FRCS exam, and I was living in London at the time, and I remember phoning home and my mother asking me when this ceremony was going to occur, and I said, well, I'm working really pretty hard, Mum, and they can just send me the diploma in the post. She said, oh, well, if you think that's the right thing to do. And so an hour or two later, I said to my lovely wife, Anne-Marie, I think I got that all wrong, and I better make the effort to go to Glasgow. And I came here on a dark winter's night, the 3rd of December 1991, and we were all the other way around. We went up that end to get your diploma in those days. And I still have pictures of me in this corner of the college hall with my parents, the 3rd of December 1991. And 30 years later, to the day, I became the president of the college. So there you are. Maybe that's an encouragement for one or two of you sitting in the rows here to be thinking about what you can do. As Professor Abbey Rani read out your names, we all applauded, and we do that rightly and properly because you have achieved a great deal in setting yourself a very high bar, putting yourself forward for an exam. I'm always in awe of you young physicians who study for the MRCP exam, which is ferociously difficult. Surgical exams are quite difficult, dental exams are quite difficult, but learning all that medicine is really quite extraordinary. So you deserve our applause because you've all come home from busy days at the hospital and had to open up laptops and textbooks, switch on desk lamps when you'd rather have done other things. And you've sacrificed a great deal to have achieved what you have done in being awarded your diplomas this evening. So you deserve our applause, and congratulations, all of you. But there are some other people here this evening who also deserve some applause, and they're up at the back there behind you. They are your mums and dads, husbands, wives, partners, children, a few of them being very well behaved at the moment. And so as it's become a tradition in our college, I'm going to ask you, new fellows and members of the college, to join me in standing up and recognising these people behind you in the hall who have also made sacrifices for you to be sitting in these seats this evening. And let's give them a round of applause. Good, so congratulations on being fellows or members of our college. Royal colleges are a difficult thing sometimes to explain. You know that concept of an elevator pitch, and somebody says to you, can you explain to somebody by the time the elevator gets to the 3rd or 10th or 22nd floor, can you explain to them what a Royal College is? And it's sometimes quite difficult to do that, even for those of us who've been very involved in the governance of the college for many years. There are 24 Royal Colleges and faculties here in the UK, and they do, in the main, what you're all testament to this evening. We set standards, and we set standards for training, and we set standards of knowledge that we expect trainees to have as they come to the end of their training, and we recognise that as you successfully complete your examinations by the award of a diploma. And we also recognise other people who made an outstanding contribution in their careers and welcome them to our college as fellows this evening. And we now have this large membership of over 16,000 fellows and members in over 100 countries across the world, in physicians and surgeons, dentists, and also in travel medicine and podiatric medicine. And we're very proud to be a multidisciplinary college. Some colleges in the UK just deal with one subject, like psychiatry or anaesthetics, but we have all of this multidisciplinary team, and that goes back to the founding of the college back in 1599, because Robert Hunter and William Spang, the other two portraits on this wall, were a physician and an apothecary, an old-fashioned term for a pharmacist. And so from our very beginnings 425 years ago, we've been a multidisciplinary college. And the delivery of good quality healthcare these days, as you know, involves working in multidisciplinary teams. All cancer care is delivered not just by surgeons and oncologists, but we need pathologists and radiologists. We also need other professionals who help us in our work in nursing and allied health professions and so on. And whether it's cancer care or cardiology or care of the elderly, working in teams is something that's important. And so we're proud to be a multidisciplinary team college and to have all of these disciplines round our table as we discuss matters in College Council or at our trustee board. Of course, as you know, education doesn't just finish when you've passed an exam, because learning is developing very quickly in all of our specialties. And so ongoing continued professional development is our other main issue as a college, so to provide you with ongoing education, not just to help you through your exams, but for the rest of your life. And that's a real challenge for us all. Has been a challenge throughout my career, but it's becoming an even bigger challenge now. I was shown some data that the doubling time of medical knowledge in 1950 was 50 years. So between 1900 and 1950, the total sum of medical knowledge had doubled. That doubling time is now 73 days. So it's a real challenge to keep up. And of course what that means is we can't all know everything. And so we've had to become much better at data and information and managing that. And another slightly daunting metric is been about artificial intelligence, and you'll all have been following all the discussions about how artificial intelligence might be used in our careers. I think we're all probably pretty safe in that we will still have jobs when artificial intelligence comes along, but it will help us manage all of that data and all of that information. And one of our challenges, and something we're discussing in the coming year in college, is how can we use artificial intelligence better? As we all know, there's a difference between data and information and knowledge, and there's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. And so part of our understanding as a college is how can we use all of this information better. But here's another interesting metric. Time to 100 million users. So for the telephone, that was 75 years. For Uber, it was 70 months. And for ChatGPT 4.0, it was 2 months. Okay. So the world is becoming a smaller, faster place, driven by information technology. And all you young people, that's easy for you, but not so much for people of my generation. But we wish you well in that. But the college is here to support you on that journey of education for the rest of your careers. We're also a forum for policy making and thinking as a community of experts, and that's something I encourage all of you to become involved in. I know it seems a long way off, but some of you might want to become examiners and replace those people on the other side of the table or around the bed who were terrorising you just a few months ago. And that's an opportunity that's available to you in the college. You can also become involved in education and teaching others the skills that you now possess. But also we have work to do in policy and formulating our thinking and representing our professions in discussions with others, whether that be in health service management or whether it be governments. And our college has had some success in that, particularly over recent years, talking about the health service workforce, because all of you will be only too familiar with the fact that it's quite difficult to deliver good quality care these days. And one of the things that makes it challenging is there's not enough people to do that. UK government, Scottish government before them, UK government have taken on board the views of our college and others working in concert through the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges to ask that the medical workforce be improved and increased in number. And from this year onwards, in UK-wide terms, there will be more medical students, and that plan is to double from 7,500 medical students coming into our system each year through the universities to 15,000 medical students by 2031. So that between now and about 2036 or 2037, there are going to be an extra 75,000 doctors in the UK, which is a lot of people to teach and to train. And we're making similar representations over the dental workforce, because all of you working in dentistry know only too well that there's a real crisis in the provision of NHS dental care in the high street and family dentistry and general practice, but also in the specialties. So we need to make that case, and that's one of the things that we can do as a community of people who are interested in standards of healthcare. It's not just setting the standards by examination, but improving the numbers of us in the workforce. And some of that we can do well as a community in the college. Those of you who are active in social media will no doubt been following all the controversy there's been about physicians and anaesthetics associates and all the concern about that part of the workforce. As a college, we've been able to say this is of real relevance to our trainees, to our young people coming through, and what do they think about that, and work that through with the trainees committee and form a college policy and continue to work with others around scope of practice for PAs and As in a way that we feel comfortable that we have made good decisions and tried to involve ourselves constructively in that debate, which has not always been a constructive one on social media, but I suppose that's the case for many things on social media. Social media sometimes is blamed for us all not being well and for anxiety and concerns, particularly among young people. But those of you working in healthcare will know that we're not all that well, and that at any one time in the background population, perhaps 15 or 20% of people are suffering from subclinical anxiety and depression. When you look at people delivering healthcare, that number doubles up to about 40% or so. When you look at more serious manifestations of that, whether it's people exhibiting symptoms and signs of post-traumatic stress disorder or abusing alcohol or drugs, those figures are really quite concerning in the healthcare workforce. And so one of the things we've been encouraging you all to do, and at all of our ceremonies in recent years, is to consider your own well-being. So you're going to be looking after patients, and that's right and proper, and that's what you're trained to do, but you also need to look after yourselves and make sure that you are well. Because working in a health service in any country is really difficult. And in the last 24 hours, we've had real example in Sir Brian Langstaff's inquiry into infected blood products of where it's a really difficult space to be working and where it's important for all of us to be reflective and to practice as well as we can do. Brian Langstaff's inquiry followed Lord Penrose's inquiry here in Scotland and has uncovered that between 1970 and 1998, perhaps 30,000 people, the true number is as yet unknown, were infected with HIV or hepatitis C because of blood products. And that would be terrible enough if it wasn't for the other aspects of his inquiry, which have found that that was an avoidable tragedy, that there was cover-up, that there was destruction of the evidence of the harm that had been done. There was hiding of the truth. There was a lack of informed consent for patients. Patients and their families were unaware of the harm that had been done to them. And so the infected blood products joins a long list of other rather difficult things that we've had to deal with in the NHS, and that makes it difficult for all of us who want to be proud to work for that organisation. But as ever, in retrospect, when we look back and think, how could this have happened? One of the problems was the way we worked. Paternalism of thinking that we as healthcare professionals knew better, that we didn't have to inform patients and their families of what was happening. And we were aided and abetted in that poor quality behaviour by politicians who also wanted to cover up what had happened. So it's been very difficult in the last 24 hours to read about that and to see it broadcast in the news. But the lesson is here for all of you in your careers is to be open, to remember that you have a duty of candour, to remember that being a good doctor is not about having some professional secrets which we in Royal Colleges are custodians of, that we are exclusive of others and that we have all the knowledge and that we know best. But we need to look after our patients in a way that is reflecting our humility, that we don't know everything. If medical knowledge is doubling in 73 days, even these young new possessors of the MRCP don't know everything. And they're not going to know everything by next week. So we need to be reflective doctors, recognising our fallibility and our inability to know everything, but to put professional values of care and compassion and openness and honesty at the very forefront of what we do. But that is not easy to do if you are stressed and if you are burnt out and you are having a difficult time. And that's why we encourage you, and I hope downstairs somewhere you've seen some of our copies of the little Journal of Wellbeing. So as is traditional, I'm afraid, in these speeches, and those of you who have been here before will have heard me say this again, it's not a big book. Take home a copy. There's lots of good tips and tricks. But in fact, you just need one hand to remember all the things you've got to do. 5 key principles of well-being. To connect with other people, connect with your colleagues at work, connect with your families, connect with your faith communities, connect with these people who have been helping and sponsoring you here this evening. Loneliness, which is a subjective feeling, unmeasurable in many ways, is as bad for our health as smoking 10 cigarettes every day. So don't allow yourselves to be alone in your clinical practice as healthcare professionals. Remember that friends and colleagues and your families and your neighbours are really important to your well-being. Take notice of the world round about you. It's the simplest thing to do. Come out on a beautiful morning this morning, as it was a beautiful morning this morning. It was a bit rainy and wet this afternoon. That's Glasgow for you. But remember to notice the world around you. Notice little bits of nature. There's a whole hierarchy of spaces, from blue spaces where we can see the ocean and lakes and ponds, through green spaces with trees, fields. But there is magic to be found in the brown spaces of our cities. Take notice of what's around you and let that sustain you in life. Be active. Try to keep fit, look after your own health and be active. And learn. Now that's a very difficult thing to say tonight when you've just demonstrated your learning by coming forward and getting these diplomas this evening. But don't just learn about medicine and worry about all that doubling time. Learn about other things, develop hobbies and skills and things that will sustain you and keep you refreshed in your career. And the last very important part of all of this is quite counterintuitive, which is to give. To give. And that seems a strange thing to say to people who are burnt out and stressed, but is to give extra, to give a bit more. We've given you an outstanding example this evening of a man who has given a huge amount in his career, Professor Jeremy Bagg. As Christine Goodall went through his citation, Jeremy has had an outstanding academic career as a dentist and as the Dean of the Faculty of Dentistry here in Glasgow University. But tonight we're particularly recognising giving even more than that. Malawi, the 187th richest country in the world out of 194, didn't have a medical school until just short of 30 years ago. And with support from Scotland, because we have had this long-standing connection to Malawi since the time of David Livingstone, whose portrait's here in the corner, we have helped develop the medical curriculum and the medical school through the College of Medicine in Malawi. But there was no dental education. And for 20 million people, there were handfuls of dentists, all of whom were trained abroad. And recognising that challenge, Professor Jeremy Bagg has worked with colleagues, always working as part of a team, leading that team, however, in developing a curriculum, getting equipment, supporting that through all the times of COVID. You've just started this project and you're getting it all moving along, and along comes COVID, and continued all of that education. And so now Malawi is going to have its own dentists, thanks to the extra work that Professor Jeremy Bagg has done. Now, none of us will have that capacity, I suspect, in the room, or very few of us. But you all can give of your very best every day when you go to deliver care. Because between you and that patient and their family in the room, there's just you deciding how to run that consultation. So remember to give of yourself, of your knowledge and your clinical skills, as you've demonstrated to us that you have, to be successfully awarded these diplomas this evening. But remember that giving will sustain you. That's part of the vocation of being a healthcare professional, and giving will make you better. So we wish you happy, fulfilled, successful careers. Remember these 5 tips and tricks. Take home your book of well-being. And thank you very much, all of you, for becoming fellows and members of our college this evening and becoming part of our community. Thank you for joining us this evening. So now we get to the good bit of the evening. After all the photographs, well, not all the photographs, there'll be more photographs yet, I hope. What we're going to do now is ask David to come forward and lift up this mace, which is the symbol of the authority of the college. They have maces in Houses of Parliament and in universities, and it's a symbol of the authority that allows us to grant these diplomas of fellowship or membership of the college. So we're going to pick that up, and as we do that, we'll all stand up. All of us in coloured gowns will get to process out the door here, and then we'll see you downstairs for some refreshments. And again, very, very warm welcome to the college, Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, and we hope you have a wonderful experience of being fellows and members of our college in the years ahead. Thank you very much. David, we'll go now. Okay, David.